Couple minutes to get on here since Facebook has been suppressing us. If these shows resonate, most people are seeing the replays now. It's a really special show. This is my style: spontaneous, intuitive, creative, imaginative, and depending on what we talk about and or what we do, courageous. This is the I Am Soul, right? This is Soulogy. But if these shows resonate with you, please share, because we are getting suppressed again, which is no big deal. We welcome the Facebook energy to integrate and merge with. And also, I want to thank everybody for your continued love and support and contributions that allow us to keep going and be in this magic every single day. We may not have what 3D says that you need to have in the bank or in stability in a home and this and that, but we have a tremendous network around this world, friends, positive love, support, and energy, and the contributions that come in, and the resources, other resources that are given to us that make this possible. So thank you, everybody. I can't see all the names, but hello to, I can see Rob Eden, Nori Love, and Michael Kaminsky. It's good to see everybody. I got a really special deal going on here. So 2 or 3 days ago, Morgan has set the, she is the producer, set the agenda, which is let's get out in the field in Sedona. We don't know how long we'll be here. We want to be here for as long as Sedona wants us. And let's talk to some people that are Sedona, right? So somebody came into our field, many people did. One of them was Rebecca Magick. And so I just came over here. And you know how it is. I don't like to have conversations before we do shows, but we've been talking. And it is so cool because we've been staying with Sherilyn, who everybody knows, and we're actually going to have a show with her this afternoon and go deeper into her artwork. And Rebecca's very tight with her, and the other connection was she's tight with, what's her name? The Wolf Sanctuary.
Healing Wolf.
Oh, Healing Wolf, who's a relative of Tom Whitebear, our dear friend and supporter, and she's an acquaintance of hers as well, and somebody else that I missed. But I will just say this, and on that note, let's all just, if you would, just real quickly, join with me in the circle of life with our guides and our angels, and let's put Healing Wolf. Was that her name? Yes. Her husband is in the hospital with some heart problems. I believe he's in ER. Tom went to see him yesterday. But if we could all just pull together in this eternal moment and send our highest healing, peace, love, and comfort in love and light, love and light, love and light. Thank you. It is done. So, enough of that. And we get to meet this beautiful goddess. I'm looking at her. She looks like my sister. And her name is Rebecca Magick. And I don't know a lot about her. I've seen a couple of videos. And we're doing this with the camera. I mean, with the phone, so it's a little bit different. But let's just wrap with her. I guess what we could start with is we could ask her, because she's younger, we could ask her...
How old do you think I am?
You?
Yeah.
I'd say
Take your guesses. Take your guess.
I'd say about... let me see, make sure I'm getting you in there. Am I getting you in there? I'm going to turn this around. If you don't mind, the camera's looking at you.
Sure.
Okay. Hang on. Let's go back to that question. Okay. I'm going to say you're about 29.
Wow, I'm about to be. Yes, this winter I'll be 29.
God, that was dangerous. Never guess a woman's... but what I was saying is she's younger. Okay, a lot of the people, like if you look at the Soulogy demographics, most of them are 45 to 65. And of course, 65% women. But there is an influx recently, especially on YouTube, of like 18 to 35. But so my first question would be, and this is just a conversation, we don't have an interview, is when did you wake up? Or did you have to wake up? When did you look at stuff and go, whoa, this is not real? Something's...
Or this is very real.
Well, yeah, true.
As a little girl growing up in New York City, I had stimulation left and right, all kinds of crazy things going on, a lot of chaos. And I couldn't find the order in the chaos, and it was very stressful, and I felt like I was just living in one endless existential crisis. And I didn't understand why the world outside of me didn't match the world inside of me. And I was very shy, actually. I wasn't as comfortable as I am now, and I definitely didn't talk nearly as fast or as much as I do now. But when I was 19, there was one night that really changed my life, and I haven't looked back since. A dear, dear, dear friend of mine who I grew up with and who I respected very much just mentioned that everything is one, that everything is connected. And no one said that to me before. And it's so funny how simple that is, but it's true, and that makes it so profound. It makes it so much more incredible, you know, that there's this one simple thing that somebody just suggested to me, that, hey, you know, everything's connected, everything is one. And my head just opened up like a funnel, and every question I had ever asked, and any question I could ever ask, was answered in that moment through this concept of oneness, through this idea that everything is connected. I was like, oh my God, it all makes sense now. It all makes sense. And all of that grief that I carried and that pain as a little girl was like instantly not just uplifted, but transformed into this strength that I've been running with since that day.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's
yeah,
really
I was
cool.
like, oh my God, can you believe that? Like in New York City, just no one being aware of the connectivity of life. And like, what does that, you know, where does that leave you as far as your self-image, your self-connection, your spiritual connection? It leaves you feeling like very empty and depressed and suicidal. I mean, all kinds of crazy things. You know?
Yeah, New York's pretty crazy. What part did you grow up in?
I grew up in Queens.
Okay, so you're in Queens, like in 2016 when I went all in. I went about 3 months in like small town, the hills of Arkansas, middle of winter, and then I got called to New York. So
where in New York did you go?
I was in the Bronx mostly, some Queens, but mostly I was hanging out in the Bronx, and it was a big part of my spiritual growth because I started to learn to work with energy, because obviously, you know, I spent most of my time walking out in nature and doing spirit walks, and it's pretty easy to integrate with anything you come across there, be it
when you're present.
Yeah, but in New York City, I had to learn to do it with everything. So I really
become a master.
Yeah, it was very cool. It was a very big part of my So this really opens up a lot of curiosity and intrigue for me. That happened to you at 19. Now, one of the things that's really well, you know what? I'm going to skip that for now because that's going to be really cool. I can already feel it. Let me ask you this: a lot of people, you know, I'm a big believer that the universe speaks to each one of us in its own unique way. What's really us speaking to ourselves, you know, however you want to put it. Sometimes it comes through angelic, archangelic, divine essences, angels, demons, whatever the case is, animals, elementals, colors, you know, and all the, you know, tones, whatever.
Sure.
Is there specific, specific images or faces of the universe or vibrations or frequencies of the universe that have stuck with you, or is it the universe speaking to you as a whole?
It's definitely the whole and all of its parts fully integrated. It's like everything is an opportunity to connect for me. So beyond even the symbols, I see everything as a symbol, you know, and beyond even the seeing or the conceiving of that is the feeling of that. And so I feel energies simultaneously as I'm experiencing them in my mind's eye. And so that relationship together of that vision with that feeling creates a guidance system, a complete guidance system.
Wow. She's like a mini Morgan. This is going to be easy. So do you have any type of resonance with any particular star family or galactic?
So for many years, actually for most of my time in Sedona, it'll be about 10 years now. For many years, until about 2 years ago, I had a lot of boxes over certain like new age concepts.
Yeah.
And one of them was star systems. So I was like, okay, well, I know there's a purpose for that understanding, and if and when there is a purpose for it, it shall be revealed. But it wasn't for so long because just no need. And so I just trust in divine timing. I'm like, okay, well, you know, if it's a part of the order, it'll come to me. And then 2 years ago, my first trip to Hawaii. Oh. Wow, I had a really powerful experience that basically opens up one thing and that led to another and another and another. It was like all these doors opening, like a series of doors after that activation. And through connecting with the water element in a whole new way, I began connecting and integrating all of the elements inside of myself in a whole new way, birthing a whole new me. And then I started having all these connections that were undeniable to the Sirius star system. And oh my gosh, like so many like very specific messages about this that it's undeniable now. Whereas one point in my not so distant past, I would have in my head just been like, whatever,
Yeah.
you know. And now I'm like, oh,
No, this is good. Yeah, this is good. Yeah, I totally resonate with that. Align with that. There's another alignment right there.
I have many,
Yeah.
all of them.
Yeah.
Everything.
Well, and that's where I wanted to go with it, you know, because it's like, you know, as I've said, or as I've been talking about. Okay, not that I know anything, but I'm just throwing this out there. Like, what's this? You know, when are we going to get done with this distortion and distraction of disclosure? The spaceships are going to land, or Jesus is going to come down on a chariot and save us, or whatever the case is. Like, wow, this is all about self-empowerment. So talking to someone like this, who's been in the game longer than I have, and is half the age, basically, is really cool. So I guess, you know, where I'd like to go with it, you know, there's a lot of people that are well, I don't want to say it that way. There's a lot of people still fielding a separation, at least from my perspective, in terms of dark and light, in terms of good and evil, in terms of, you know, I mean, to me, everything is the same God substance. Information is moving so quickly now. What applied yesterday doesn't apply today, you know. So I'm just curious to see what your perspective is on dark and light. How do you handle, be it triggers, dark energies, whatever? How do you navigate the polarities of this experience, you know, the universe?
Right. Well, I have so much to say about that. There's so much I do to actively do that inner work so that I can see a balance reflected in my manifested reality on this material plane. And it's all about recognizing first the duality, seeing the faces within the one. And then, of course, we can't transcend these bodies while we're here in this space-time warp, whatever you want to call this, dimension. But in the mind, we can transcend. So I believe it's all about transcending the duality momentarily in a state of transcendental awareness, going up there, climbing the mountain, whatever, inside your mind's eye to receive the wisdom, and then opening your human eyes, coming back into this body, and expressing that wisdom through the senses. Because the same laws that rule above rule below. It's universal law. And so there's no excuse. It's not like, oh, well, everything is one, but here... No, but here too. Because universal law is in all dimensions. And so if we just really trust that, there is a way to integrate that unity consciousness into our reality of duality in a way that's really practical, easy, fun, and actually a divine process. It's literally just surrender and allowing.
Right. And I guess you're also talking about embodying, right?
Right. So how do I deal with duality? Through a proper embodiment of the polar forces. And so tarot for me is, you know, really it's really my gift, and it's really my guidance system. But to kind of simplify what I'm saying there as far as the forces of polarity, I developed a heart compass. I would say my heart's compass, because we all have that. But the way I got in tune with mine was not this past summer, but the year before. And every summer it's like the craziest, you know, right at that middle of summer, it's the craziest download of the year, you know, a huge peak. So 2 years ago, the message was, well, amongst many of them, in the middle of the night, I shot up and I pulled out my notebook and I wrote down these messages that just came in. I filled up a whole notebook, maybe more than a notebook, of how to unite the forces within yourself, the alchemical marriage within. And I did it for myself, and the way that I did it was, and I was guided to do this, I defined the divine masculine and the divine feminine, first within my mind's eye, so divine conception, you know, and then I married them together within myself. So essentially what that is you're becoming an embodiment of that middle path between the two pillars of mercy and severity, you know, developing like your divine masculine and feminine in a way that they work together in compromise, in harmony, to do what is for the best of the highest good of the one. So it's like this compass that I always have in me now, and it's beyond my own mother and father, but it's the way that I see the mother and the father as archetypal energies in reflection of the active and receptive forces. And then when you do that in yourself, everything becomes a reflection of that divine union. So like the people around you that have always been in your life become angels, your guidance system.
Right on. I mean, you guys, I love this sister, man. This is cool. I was told, in 2011 when I was given Soulogy, you're going to do this to, I'm 57, I'll be 58 in December. You're going to do this till you're like 57 or 58, then all the young people are going to take over. I'm like, good. But this is the kind of energy, and I've been saying it. You know, I've got kids, 6 kids. My oldest one is a year older than you. And, you know, even like they know it, and they carry these frequencies, and they don't even know it. All you got to do is like be around them, you know. It's really cool. So this opens up a couple of things for me that I want to jump into, because I want to learn. This is what I do, and this is what I hope I can offer everybody. After, you know, 1,500 shows, I hope it's working. But so first of all, like you were talking about, oh God, I lost one, but I got the other one. And you can talk about whatever you want to, okay?
You're just directing. I appreciate
it. You know, I've had an evolution. I can be pretty blunt sometimes. You know, put my foot in my mouth. They say it's a Sagittarius trait. I don't know.
mind.
But what I wanted to ask you about, I know you have a partner, right? You have a partner, and you're talking about the divine union, which everyone talks about, and you know, all that stuff. But I have a feeling that yours may have occurred. You did the inner work, the balance came there, and then you attracted it. I'm not being presumptuous, but if you could just talk a little bit, or as much as you're comfortable with, about, you know, the relationship between your own divine union within yourself and how that translated to your external experience, and also what do you think the role is, if any, of these couples that are coming together, and we know that has nothing to do with male female, it's just two souls coming together. But what do you think, if anything, in the physical, that these couples that are apparently coming together more and more every day, their role in this transition that we're calling Ascension?
So I believe that it's not so much about the face or the one person, or if it's two separate people you go through lessons with, or however many people. I believe that, yes, we're constantly being guided to those relationships which will help complement the lessons we're going through, to provide a balance so that we can make the most of the lessons we're going through, so that we don't just get one side of it, but we get its other, you know, its complete opposite in reflection, so we can make sure we cover every base, you know. And so I believe that everything is a ritual. Everything in this life, in this realm, is an opportunity to act in service of the one, the collective. And so that's what I believe relationship is, because everything is relationship.
Yeah.
Everything is self. Everything is one. And so therefore everything is a reflection of one. Yeah. And the expression of that, the story of that unfolding forever. And so I believe that those relationships that are romantic, because that's what we're focused on here, is obviously going to be one that's very revealing of your path and what's happening with you and your, you know, the work you're consciously or not consciously doing, because that's the person that you're giving your energy to, your power to, your heart to. And so, you know, there's a lot to look at there when you consider who are those reflections for you in your life, the close ones, your lover, your kids. And with my partner, we actually met at Chocolate Tree in Sedona, where I worked for many years. And we both are very much that way, where we meet there with that belief that it's a sacred union, just as, you know, any life meeting its reflection would be. And we both really honor the ritual that is a romantic relationship. And I believe that as far as polarities, you know, on every dimension except this one, the forces oscillate. You know, our body obviously isn't shifting constantly from man to woman each day, back and forth, back and forth. In this physical realm, it's something different. But behind this, just beneath the veil, you know, we're bisexual beings, and the forces are always oscillating within us. And so I believe the goal then is to meet face to face with your lover and use any opportunity for that polar balance to do a service for the one. So how can I balance you with our opposites? How can we come together to find the middle ground? You know, and it can even just be through feeling. You can feel that, because that's what we're doing, whether we like it or not. That's what this reality is. It's these forces being magnetized to each other, and hopefully, you know, sparking our awareness to be present, to do the work with our fullest, you know, with our will, with our fullest desire to want to do it.
Wow. I'm totally digging this. I'd love to have you and your partner on if you guys would. We're always looking for
I hear
couples.
him just like, yeah, yes. We would love that. We would love that.
And so let me ask you this before I ask you or make the second offering. So what's it like navigating the Ascension with a 7 and an 8-year-old in the house? What's that like?
So much more enhanced, so much more powerful, on the entire spectrum. The joy and the pain too is greater. So to me, it's just more and more opportunities for growth, and we can find that no matter where we're at in life. It's just, to me, I feel that being a mom gives me another lens that I couldn't have otherwise.
Yeah.
It connects me to that archetype which is within us all in a very unique way. Looking at my own son, it's a very special thing, and my partner's son as well. We're all very close, and our boys they have a magical connection. So to witness their connection is great. I mean, I think about it this way: the family ritual is so significant for so many reasons, and the more relationships, the more interrelations, the more channels we have to observe self and to learn from self in really unique ways. And our boys are like two little old men sometimes. It's the trippiest thing. And you were saying that young people are more and more tuned in, and those kids, I mean, they're like, why are you telling me that? Like, obviously I know. And I'm like, okay, cool, just to reinforce it for the one, for both of us, But it's amazing. I love being a mom.
Right on. Thank you. Hey, and let me just tell everybody, I just got a couple of notes. We've been having problems with Facebook. If you get knocked off, just come back in, okay? We're not on Zoom today, so this is the only option you have. I'm just letting you know we're not terminated. That's very cool. So have you noticed, like we've had some people that have allowed us to have their children on. This is going from like 7, 9, 13, 15. We've had a few of them on the show, and some of the stuff they're pulling in is really cool. Like, everything from like one kid, she put together this drawing of the two Earths splitting, talking about the Great Divide, and talking about a 3D going here, 5D going here. I mean, again, this is all metaphoric, but just so really cool seeing some of the stuff they're pulling in. One of the other ones was talking about there's some dreams that they'd had in terms of the flash or the event, or, again, this is energetic stuff that people are getting metaphorically, but it's so cool that these young people are. And I think, and another one, past life remembrance and that type of thing. Some galactic stuff that came through with one of the kids. Do your kids have anything going on that's kind of like makes you just go, oh my God?
Oh my gosh, yeah. Oh my gosh, all the time. I actually made an email for my son when he was born because I had heard this idea and I loved it. I made an email for him, and every time he says something that's just amazing, whether it's funny or even if it's just sad, but it was like really personal, I write it to his email so that one day he can open it up and just read it all. And I think it's going to be so beautiful, and it helps me to be more present. People will say, oh, it's like taking you out of the moment to go ahead and write it, and I'm like, no, I'm doing this for the future.
Right on.
And so it solidifies. So of course I remember more so all these things because I have to actually write or type them out.
Wow.
And there's so many things I can think of. Where do I begin? But I mean, my son, about, I guess, a year ago, he one day just out of nowhere says, oh yeah, I get it. So like the screen that you have in your mind, I have in my mind, and I'm sending you the messages from my screen to yours, or, or telling me about how he travels to ancient Egypt every night after I put him to bed.
Wow.
And
wow.
Yeah, he was late at night, especially. I find that this happens with children. I know I did this as a little girl, where kids are laying there in the dark and they start to contemplate their own consciousness and, what's that inner voice and how did God get here? And that's been some of our best conversations late at night. And, he'll say like, oh, this is how, like a star was born and it became all these stars. And then that's how the man came down to earth, and he came out of, the belly that was out there. And like, just really, I love the way that kids will do that. They want to explore consciousness because they want to explore themselves.
Wow, this is cool. And so the second solicitation, wrong word, is I'd love to have your kids on if you want to sometime, and just rap with them.
I bet they would love that.
Yeah, I'm totally up for that. Yeah, I'd love to just that'd be cool, because I think we need to see. Well, I'm a big believer that these conversations carry the greatest downloads, transmissions, channelings more than anything else, because this is the raw, it's the real. But these kids, they can send us into quantum code openings, because they just carry these frequencies that are untainted, and they're not interfered with, and they're just, you can't mess with them. I don't care how many vaccines or whatever else they want to try. The elevation of our consciousness is just too big, and they're leading the way.
And then the parents also have a major role in that, from protecting them from maybe things that we had to go to, but we were protected from one angle or another, because we were meant to be here to teach them.
That's right.
And also making sure from the very beginning that we talk about and acknowledge the unseen realm from the beginning. If you do that, it's all easy and it's all fine. Your kid will do the rest. They see it. The only reason we might have forgotten, or some people may forget, is because they're not being told that that's okay, right. That's normal, that's actually there, you're right.
It got shut down. So many of the people that I talk to, obviously they're in my age group or a little bit younger, is they talk about they had it, they shut it down,
right.
And then that usually when I ask that question, they say, oh, well, I was always awake, but then I got reawakened in 2012 or 2011 or 2014. But yeah, you're absolutely right about that. It's I hadn't thought about it put that way, but that's definitely. Yeah, I know with my two youngest that's, and there were actually more of them, actually probably all of them, they're open to that, and I think that is important.
Yeah, in a very real way, where we tell our kids, like, it's, magic is very real. It's not just a fairy tale. You're living the ultimate fairy tale. You're living the divine mystery, but you do have this, opportunity to manifest that destiny,
Right on. Yeah, right on. The human is the hero. Yeah, this is cool. So, and you mentioned too about relationships. Now, there's a lot of people, and we talk about this sometimes. This whole connotation of twin flames, which Morgan and I don't sit well with at all. It's been a little bit over whatever. And you can call it soulmates, you call it whatever you want to, divine conscious partners, counterparts, or whatever. Let's just talk about couples. We're just talking about conscious couples. Yes. Let's put it that way. A divine, sacred, conscious union are in that trajectory. So you mentioned earlier when you were talking about relationships, you mentioned about romantic aspect. Do you find that the conscious, divine, sacred union that you're in is a different type of romance, and or does that old 3D romance even have a big part in it?
So, last year a coworker asked me, "Are you and your man always on the mission? Like always?" And I'm like, "Hell yeah, girl. Always on the mission." What do you mean? Of course we're always on the mission. This is the thing. When you awaken, the only reason, like we were just saying, the only reason you would go back to sleep is because it didn't go all the way through to the source, because you won't forget. Once you remember that through and through, and you know your connection to it, and you've developed that complete faith in it, and it takes building. Like you gotta really like have the proof that it's real, and then your awareness is solidified, and then you don't go back to sleep, and then everything must be aligned with that. Yes. There is no other way. You are on the mission, so every person you meet is an opportunity to ascend with or move in your own direction and move on. And so we're very much in that space. I mean, dramatically so. I really can say 100% confidently that we are probably two of a very small amount of people on this planet that never forget. Yeah. I mean, we're always, all day, literally all day for hours, he's channeling symbols and making his own creations. He's an amazing artist who channels these messages into this art that I would say is, for lack of better words, the progression of what was going on in ancient Egypt. Yeah. And I really mean that. Yeah. He's amazing. You can check him out on Facebook, Daniel Moran.
Daniel Moran.
Yeah, he's amazing.
I just saw him. How did I see that?
I bet you did.
Yeah, I can picture him too. Does he have a beard?
Yeah, he's got a beard. So we're both very archetypal beings, and so we both work with the archetypes in our own ways. And, I would say that the most 3D part of our relationship are, the themes behind those challenges, which reach every dimension, which are archetypal. Yeah. So that's about as far as it goes. As far as this material reality, the thing that makes it 3D is just the crystallization of those spiritual energies, and they exist on all dimensions. So we communicate through those archetypes, all day, every day.
Yeah, my partner and I can totally relate to you. So you're not familiar with Soulogy, but Morgan and I have, I don't know, over the last 3 years done quite a few. We've been very open about our relationship. One of the big topics, has been sacred sexuality. And our interpretation of it is, where Tantra kind of goes from the ground up to try to hit the etheric. Our scenario has been etheric to come into the physical. And we've had some extraordinary experiences, including morphine, including, the male having female orgasms for extended periods of time. So the physical, the etherical, the ceiling turning into the cosmos, beings coming into the room, but all seems to be related and tied to two people who are connecting together to the infinite field in their trajectory of pure love consciousness, sharing pure love consciousness. Have you had any and you can talk about whatever you want to, and again, I'm not talking about the old physical 3D type of stuff, but I am talking about intimacy.
Using the physical dimension to reach.
Have you experienced anything, either just stumbled across it or just noticed that there's some kind of different thing going on there?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel that we acknowledge that inclusiveness is a virtue. And so, of course, as sovereign beings, we have everything within us. Like, we're complete. We have everything within us to achieve these transcendental states. But in this physical dimension, when two beings come together and not only their bodies merge, but all of those dimensions merge and have a chance to sort of overlap, it lights those up, each of your centers, in a way that you couldn't do it on your own. Yeah. So yeah, we have everything we need within us. But inclusiveness is a virtue for a reason, because if everything is one, then sure, everything's already perfect in that dimension of source. But we're in this reality of polarity, and so the one was split up into the many. And so if ever there's an opportunity to connect with someone in the same goal, it means that you do less work to get more results. Yeah. And efficiency is very important to consider. Efficiency is a key, considering the science of our oneness. The energy to do more, the better, when it's in service of the one. So if we're coming together to make love, and we're dedicating very consciously, holding that frequency of dedication to the one for service, God, this is, creator, source, great spirit, this energy, this feeling is coming into me, but I'm acknowledging that it's going right back to you. And in doing so, that new neural pathway that's formed is literally creating a bridge to you in the spiritual dimension. And so, I believe that we understand these concepts. So when we come together, we expect miracles.
I think that somehow, etherically, Morgan had a daughter, and this is her. So this is an easy conversation. That's very cool. And you said something earlier, too, that kind of intrigued me. Because I am the ultimate optimist. I'm the ultimate. Yeah. I believe anything's possible. But you had said in the physical body. I'm not debating you or anything. I want to learn. You're welcome to. She's just like Morgan, man. She's gonna be handing me my ass in a minute. No. But yeah, you said we can't physically transcend. I really feel like anything's possible. And I'm starting to carry this frequency, or this intention, or whatever this word is. God, it's so hard to find 3D words to describe unwritten stuff. That I'm going to be here hundreds of years.
Oh, sure.
I choose to be, and then I feel like that the great hero journey of the human. I always say hashtag the human is the hero. Because without the human aligning or acknowledging or accepting, surrendering, or whatever you want to call it, nothing happens. None of it means anything. Sure. But I feel like that as a group, as a human hybrid soul species group, whatever you want to call it, we are actually, the big word is transmutation. Mm-hmm. If you look in the dictionary, transmutation, I think it's biological or physics, says the transformation of a species from one species to another. Right. So I feel like we're actually in the densest, or at least the opportunity to be we're in the densest environment you could imagine, with the opportunity to transform it into some incredible light that the
Absolutely.
universe has never seen. Anyway, I just want to get your thoughts on that. And,
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. And I want to say, yes, transform. Absolutely. Because alchemy can be performed in any dimension. And then it reflects on every other one. But not transcend. And what I mean by that is I believe we can transform but not transcend, because each dimension is born through the previous, so the original is still there. And that's why I believe we have these primordial energies in us that are archetypal, that we can connect to pull that advice and guidance all the way from source through us and actualize it. So yes, I believe we are in these bodies in this dimension to further crystallize those sacred energies, thus absolutely activating a whole different kind of frequency and body, therefore, as a byproduct, that can, that's ageless, that's immortal, of course.
Yes,
Self-conscious immortality is key. I agree with you 100%. So I don't believe transcend, because there's nothing to come out of. We're all about integration, baby. I don't want to transcend anything. I want to be in here. But with my mind transcending, I can still be in my body while I do that. So it's still integration. So that's the only kind of transcendence I want to do,
Man, I totally dig my job. I got the best job in the universe. So here's another one I would like to talk to you about and see what your opinion is on it. And I get a little flack for this, but I'm trying to be zero-pointed neutral. I get, I'm so into the I am soul. I'm so into empowerment. And if you haven't, the more empowerment you have, the less disempowerment you have. And we've spent, God knows how many loops we've been involved in, how many lives we've been involved in. We're giving our power away to something external. It doesn't even matter what the hell it is. It could be something physical. It could be something non-physical. It could be a law, a rule, a relationship, whatever. And I personally am fed up with it. I appreciate it, love it, honor it, revere it, but I'm done. Okay? I'm done. I wash my hands. I'm done. So on that note, I see some really interesting things happening in the chair that I sit in, that I've been blessed to sit in, and the preoccupation with disclosure, with spaceships landing, with Q, with Trump, and this is not political, okay? With Obama, with Clinton, with the Queen, anything. So my question to you, especially with and I don't, age is relative, but the fact that on the linear scale, this is a new energy, these young people, which I'm fascinated with. What is that all about? Where do you stand with that stuff? Do you even pay attention to it? Do you see people giving away their power to these concepts of saviors coming to save them and protect them?
I love that you said that, and I believe, first of all, what is the savior? But the archetypal Christ rising, which is in each cell of our being, is that light being, sparked and awakened in every cell. So that's how I see it, from the micro to macro. It's that Christ light, shining. And I believe that we give our energy away left and right on the small scale to very large scales, where, we give our energy too much to any one thought, whether that's inside of our own heads or one that's seemingly coming from outside of us, in reflection of whatever's going on inside. And people they become stuck or attached to concepts or things or relationships. And what you want to look for is, what is the image you're holding in your mind's eye, and what is the frequency you're holding, because that's literally all that matters to the universe, because it's just going to mirror that. So even if we have positive intentions, if we're not embodying a frequency that is peaceful and harmonious, we've already lost it. So I was talking about this with a friend in consideration of the lunisolar new year, the Jewish and Egyptian new year that just happened last week. So many people want to set intentions for new year, new moon, the week ahead, whatever, but they don't realize the frequency of pressure and anxiety that they're holding, and it's worth shit then. It's garbage, You got to really pay attention, like as if you really believe, like a child could understand, that the universe is a mirror. And so don't become attached to anything. And I believe that this is a concept that's spoken of over and over in sacred and ancient texts, that like the story of Passover, how, don't worship false idols. I mean, this is repeated again and again in many ancient cultures. And I believe those false idols are a symbol and, in representation of those things that we worship by giving our thoughts or our power, our energy in any form, that we give that away to, instead of giving it all to the one and focusing on that one, because within the one is the all. And so we got to trust that we shouldn't be watering the leaves, but we got to water the roots, because they know what to do. But it's hard for people to do that when we're living in this material entanglement because, oh, but this, oh, but that, and also this, but then there's also that. And we really have to know where this is all coming from, because if we don't, we will walk around this earth very confused and attaching to things left and right, not even stopping to realize why.
Yeah.
Why? Who
If you're lucky enough to be conscious about it.
Right.
This segues right into something quite fascinating. All right. So let me just give it a little backdrop. Over there, there's a almost 100% black wolf is your pet, and his name is Anubis, right? So some of you know that when I came to Sedona last year, Anubis, the interdimensional energy, came to me the first day I was in Sedona and the last day I was in Sedona. And then about 3 or 4 nights ago, I merged with him. And some really cool things happened. I think it was a representative of some stuff being cleared root-wise with the masculine, which is very important for the collective. Anyway, so I get over here, and her beautiful black wolf over there has that name. And last night, and so that's some of the synchronistic and the physical that's been happening more and more and more over the last 3 or 4 years, not just for me but for other people. No more it's just the 11-11 and the 55-55.
Every single thing.
Yeah, that's right. So now it's happening with these physical energies, which is fascinating. So this morning I wake up at 3:33. I did a post earlier today, and it was Anubis and Isis and a bunch of dragons. And they said, we want to talk to you. So from 3:33 till about 6 in the morning, I was there and getting schooled. And they were talking to me about abundance. And I've been on this path for a while. And the reason I'm bringing it up is because I want to get this beloved sister's perspective, because I know it's important because of the synchronicities and the alignments. So I just want to give you the backdrop. And this is something that's been big. It's been talked about a lot in light worker circles, if for lack of a better word. I've been very upfront about it. I downloaded 5D Commerce from the Arcturians 2 summers ago, and I've tried to keep my ear to the universal voice in terms of what that is. I've talked about it. It's gifting. It's based on the honor system. It's based on paying it forward. And so we're trying to get there. Now, like a lot of people out there doing this kind of work, we've struggled. I mean, I'm not saying this for anyone to feel sorry for us or anything. We follow the guidance. We have complete faith. We probably got $100 and a half a tank of gas right now. And we're not worried about it. But we're trying to help the collective break this code. Now, there's a reason Anubis, Isis, and the dragons came in this morning. And then we have the correlation or coincides with the name here. And we know, like you said earlier, everything's symbols, images, and all that. So my feeling is that we can break a little ground here. You've been in the circles long enough to see this happening, where practitioners struggle. I'm going to charge this because I value myself, or I'm not going to charge anything because I don't value myself, or all the stuff in between. So it's a really interesting subject. I think we're on the cusp of really finding a 5D abundance on this earth, and when it starts, others will pick up on it, because I see people struggling with it, including myself. I'll be very honest with you. What are your thoughts on the new commerce, if we want to describe it that way? What are your thoughts on abundance? Are we are we our biggest problem? Do we need to get out of the way? What do we need to get out of the way? And it might be going back to what you were just talking about in terms of what you're holding in your head and the frequency that you're carrying.
Yeah, I think I just consult that guidance system that comes of the knowing that everything is one. So what does that mean then? What is the answer to that when considering that everything is connected? And I think that, first of all, I think of the tarot, and I think of a universal symbol of the pentacle and the coin with the pentacle on it. And a lot of people think that's the earth element, which it is in a way, because each of the symbols for the elements really has all the other elements within it. But everybody sees it first as the earth, but it's really air, and it's because anything that manifests on this material plane comes from the mind, because the first principle of Hermetics is the principle of mentality. You know, and it's really seeing that it's okay. Like, we're not talking about the brain, I'm talking about the mind, the universal mind, the heart of the universal mind is there, you know. And so then what is money then in reflection of that? What is anything on this material plane in reflection of that? And so I believe that we shouldn't consider it there even to be a problem. I think we should just consider money like we do anything else. a vibration of frequency and energy, which has to do with every single thought we have about it,
Yeah.
our beliefs we have about it, our undefined, like our incomplete definitions of it and all that is around it, and then the people we come in contact with in media and all this, in our face. So what matters is the belief we're holding about it. So
Yeah.
what I like to do, and it's been working for me for many years, is I don't focus on any one thing too much, right? Like we said, attachment. I don't get stuck. I try to make sure I keep a fluid energy frequency. And if I'm thinking about any one thing too much, that's a sign that there's some rebalancing work to do there. So I don't put money on a pedestal, and I certainly don't kick it down. And I just say, hey, whatever I need, exactly when I need it, just not like maybe right before I need it. No, like in the perfect timing, I will get that, whatever it is. And so long as I align my will with that of the divine, then I absolutely will be connected to a source of unlimited abundance, because our design is an intelligent one. It's all intelligent and self-sustaining. So it will provide for me because I work for it, the one.
Yeah.
And that's it. And that's literally it. That's literally it. People complicate this abundance consciousness mentality. Even these big conscious events that are thrown to get people to understand money mentality, you're already missing the point. There's too much in there. Let's bring it back to the root, and let's see like the Six of Pentacles, for example. And this has like the Libran scales on it, and it's a man giving coins to two beggars or whatever. And the message of that card is balance will come on your material plane if you believe in divine balance, divine order, and you base your foundation in this material realm on those laws. And it's not only about money, but money will be a result. Of course, that doesn't mean a lot or a little, because there's no really amount here when we're considering spiritual concepts. There's no size, no space, no time. But the money that you do need when you need it will come, just like the water that you need when you need it will come when you take a shower, or just like the toilet will come when you need to take a shit. Or just like, what I'm saying, or the pencil will come when you need to write, or whatever. The teacher will come when the student's ready. It's just like that same profound quote. The teacher will appear when the student is ready. The same shit. The coins will appear when you need to buy that sandwich. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't put it in a different. Don't separate that. From
Right on. I totally dig her. And see, I'm not the only one that curses. All right. Now, I want to say this because I want to get more of her feedback on this. Okay, so in this, and I'm not saying this is just, I just do what I do like everybody does. I'm told as the individual goes, so goes a collective. I share, take whatever resonates. So in this schooling I got this morning, they told me, they said, look, the you, me, we, and it, because that's the way I see it, that, and there was some masculine and feminine stuff involved too, which was kind of interesting. But I guess, again, this is just energies. But getting down to the brass tacks. So it was like, there's so little of it. This is what I got. So little of it is tied to what we think. Not that it's not important.
Right.
What we think about money, what we think about resources, and where we put that pedestal, whatever the case is, value and all that. But what I got was so little of it. It's big, don't get me wrong, but so little of it is that. And so much of it, what we're missing is just strictly being open. Open and sharing whatever we're getting without, exclusivity, without secret groups, without copyrights, trademarks, ownership, possession. We don't own shit.
Right.
So this is where I got, I'm getting chills now. I'm getting like really ramped up. So this is what I got today. What was the big message, and I hope I got it out on the post right, was quit looking over there. We can struggle with the value and appraisal of money and pedestals and all that, but it's about who the hell do you think you are? I'm not Soulogy. Soulogy is just a name for the same God substance that we all are a part of. The oneness. It's just a vehicle. It's just a label on top of the only thing that exists. So the point is. We can't own anything. We can't possess anything. To hell with these secret groups. And I'm sorry I'm going to offend some of my friends. But to hell with this exclusivity.
Right.
To hell with it. Because that is a showstopper right there. That's a showstopper. That's blocking flow.
And I think the lack of... So the people And that's the thing. I'm going to connect those two things you're saying. It is about all of our surrounding beliefs, because what are those beliefs built upon? But our lack of openness and our accepting the untruths of other people or media, etc. So it's a byproduct of not being open. It closes you up more because of all these limiting beliefs. Either you have those limiting beliefs or you don't, and it leaves space for you to be open. But see, if you fill your openness and your presence with these limiting beliefs, it just closes doors all around you until you're in a little box. You know, so they're one and the same. And the fact is, yes, all we need to do is be open and present in our bodies, integrated, both parts working together, above and below, coming into the heart, and seeing everything in life from that one ideal, that everything is one. That's all we need to know, literally, because if you know everything is one, then whatever question you have, you just consider that, and you will know what to do if you're being honest with yourself.
I love what you said too about, well, I'll reword it, but in my own way, because I can't repeat how you did it. But one is, well, she's talking about what people talk about, inner work, shadow work. But I think she's kind of like once you get that, and I think a lot of people have got to this point where you've done enough of it to get through all the stuff and say, hey, you know what? I don't need to talk about the story anymore. I got this. But what she was talking about was kind of like a consistent, constant consciousness, a conscious approach of balance, integrate, clear. Balance, integrate, clear. And if something stays in your field too long, it doesn't matter what the hell it is. It's something that obviously is going to stay there until you balance, integrate, clear. Right. So I think that's a really good point that she made, that I think should be reemphasized.
I think a lot of people feel stuck there, though, because they're like, okay, well, what do I do then? So obviously I'm frustrated because the thing that I need to work on is still in front of my face, and I just can't dissolve it. I can't transmute it. What do I do? And I'll tell you a secret.
Yeah.
The secret is that the key is always keys always lie hidden in the opposite. So whatever you're feeling, whatever you need to know, look at that thing that won't leave you. And what is the opposite? So what is the feeling of what you're seeing and thinking? Because really you got to get in the feeling. Okay, so if it's fear, well, tell yourself the fear and then transform it like a spell with words and make the opposite up in your mind, and then say that and think that and carry that frequency and fill yourself with that, and there will be no space for that fear anymore. So don't be afraid when you're faced with stuckness or a challenge. Be excited, because every challenge is a chance, is a chariot for you to ascend. You did that. You brought that here. The inner work is only half of it. Now you got to be the bridge to manifest that in this physical reality. It's time to actualize what you know. You think you did it all with the shadow work? Well, it's time to bring it fully into the light, to be witnessed by all of your reflections, to further solidify it, not because you want to show it off, but because you want to show yourself. You want to, go through gnosis, experience it, so that you can help inspire others, so that you can build a world in reflection of those truths, those frequencies that are coming through your senses.
Wow.
A
lot of alignment with this one. It's like talking to Morgan all over. Polarities, I had we have you ever heard of O cards? OH cards? They're fascinating. We'll have to show them to you. Anyway, she's been using them for years, and they're really cool. I won't get into them, but it's a way to tap into your subconscious in real time with intention, and we use it sometimes when we get stuck. And so we were kind of stuck this morning, and I was doing mine, and I was like, oh, wait a minute, man. It was like fear of failure. I'm like, I don't have fear of failure. I mean, I'm ready. Let's roll. But I flipped it. Fear of success. And this is the kind of polarity, opposite approach that you're talking about.
Right.
Sometimes it's something that so much of the time we say, oh, that's not me. This is me. Like, that's the narcissist, I'm the empath. But like I heard not a long time ago, a while back from my higher self, he was like, I am that. Doesn't mean I am that, but I'm not that. You know what I mean?
Things,
so it's like that. I like what you said about the opposites, because sometimes we over-identify, with one
side,
thing and
not the other side.
And I want to ask you about that too.
Yeah.
Your opinion about this. Now, I think that there is some difference, because most of the young people I've talked to aren't attached. They're not even hardly attached at all to galactic lives, parallel lives, past lives, and all that stuff, right? Divine essences. I was, so and so in a past life, and I think that might have something to do with the amount of emphasis from the non-physical that we might have needed. Those that are a little bit I don't know what happened. We have to get off. I got 5% on the phone evidently. That was weird. 55 people in the house. You can't make this shift up. This is an amazing sister right here. She's amazing. I can't wait till Morgan gets to meet her, because it's like talking to Morgan. You know, this is like freaking me out. Everything pretty much she said, you know. So this to me is another synchronicity, a validation, and this is what's happening for so many of us. That, you know, people are being pulled away from relationships, are being pulled away from locations, are being pulled away from jobs. They're going on these crazy things that don't make any sense.
Because they don't have the attachments anymore, like
Yeah.
you said. They're not
Yeah.
thinking about the past life. They're
Yeah.
thinking about the here and now, because
Yeah.
this world we have so much on our plate, so much work to do here now. We don't even have time
Yeah.
to think about the us in other dimensions, because they're all merging here now
Thank
through
you.
us. And because we're aware of that,
Yeah.
we're really doing root healing here. That is healing across dimensions. And that's why we have things we left unhealed in our childhood. And that's why we left holes of unhealed things throughout time and space, so we could all align and heal everything in one moment all together. So we, again, like we said before, do the least amount of work to get
That's
the
right.
most done for the one across all timelines.
That's what I love too about, and that's the same thing with Morgan. Everything's a fast track. Like when I first met her, and she's like, "We're going to do some shadow work." I didn't come from Australia for nothing.
Right.
And I said, "Well, let me tell you my story." And she's like, "You got about 10 seconds.
Right, because
Do you want to
efficiency is
clear
key.
it?" Or, yeah. So she calls it a fast track. I wanted to ask you, because we're going to run out. So just advice. I mean, just you know, again, these are things we offer. People resonate with what they want, and they take it. Do you see a hindrance, a distraction with the overattachment in people to the fact that they are this divine essence, or they're connected to that divine essence, or how do you feel about that? Do you think that that's limiting us? No different than
because-
attachment to a trauma?
Exactly, no different than attachment to a piece of toilet paper to your foot when you walk out of the bathroom. You know what I'm saying? Like, attachment in any way is no good. Like, keep it moving, keep it moving. Once you obtain some sort of a divine frequency, it doesn't matter. We need to keep moving and growing to constantly reflect the shifting that's happening at our galactic center. You know, it's like we have these chakras at the center that are, it's light, ever fluctuating, moving between those empty spaces. And that's happening in us. So we always have some work to do to get to that ever better balance.
Yeah.
As is being reflected in the center. So there's always work to do. If you're stuck talking about yourself too much, or thinking about yourself or any one aspect of self too much, not just in your own head thinking about yourself, but also thinking too much about that turtle, because that's yourself. Or thinking about anything, because that's yourself. If you're thinking about anything too much, then yeah, it's just a distraction. Have your eye on the one. Keep your inner eye on the one that is you, that is all, and that is all.
I'm digging this. Okay, so tomorrow we're going to be at the what is it? Sedona
Creative
Community.
Arts Center.
No, Sedona Community Center on Melody, 2615 Melody Lane, right around the corner from your house, right off of Harmony and Adante, in that area. I hope you can go with your children. I'd love to play around. We're going to have fun. We're going to play from 1 to 4 Pacific time. You guys can figure it out. Look at the post. I'll put some more up. I would invite everybody in the greater Sedona area to come. It's going to be a soul gathering. It's not an event. It's not your typical somebody gets up there and talks for an hour, then the next person. It's going to be a seamless 3 hours. We're going to have music. We're going to have spontaneity. We're going to have commentary. We're going to have some conscious rap, and whatever else anybody wants to do. We're just going to have people come up. It's going to be just, just
Harmonic
like
convergence,
yeah,
you know.
that's
No-
it.
no
Yeah,
big deal.
it's going to be what Soulogy is, which is, as I understand it, a mirror of the universe, adding frequencies to an ever-expanding vibration. We are creation, and you're a beautiful lady. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. You guys should have
for being real.
Join for 4 times a month. We do the live activations on my Facebook and also on YouTube. Rebecca Magick on both. So check
Can
it
you
out.
put those links up?
Sure.
Okay, on the comments. Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. Peace out, everybody. We'll
Peace.
see you on another show in another hour or so.
Another dimension.
Yeah.